I'm Leo Thorsness, and I started out 100 years ago being born in Walnut Grove, Minnesota. Little house on the prairie. It really is that. I'm old, but not old enough to have dated Laura Ingalls Wilder's daughters, although they're good looking. I was in the service for 23 years, and I spent 6 years, my last 6 years as a POW in Hanoi.
Now, from what I understand as far as your background goes, you were a POW in McCain's cell, is that correct?
No, John was with me. I got there first.
Oh,
Fair enough.
okay.
I got there 6 months before John did, and but we were there 6 years, 5.5 years for John. But they moved us around a lot, and I lived about 2 years with John off and on. So, a lot of time to know John well.
How does it feel, looking back 42 years ago, seeing where you were and what was going on, and the cellmate you had acquired 6 months after you got there? Did you ever imagine in your wildest dreams that this is something that you were going to be here today doing?
It is kind of a fairy tale, but it's the American dream tale. I mean, you can't get any lower than sitting in a solitary cell or 2 or 3 people in a little cell going through torture and so on. I mean, you're in the dregs, you're looking at communism from its bowels for 6 years. It's hard to even dream of saying someday I'll be running for President of the United States, or I'll be here supporting my cellmate, who has a very good likelihood of being elected to President of the United States. And if he does, by the way, I want to add, John McCain has the capability of becoming a statesman, and we don't have many of those. There was a man by the name of Churchill, and people like that. But John's got this. He's got the wisdom. He's got bedrock of principles. He's got a moral compass. He knows right and wrong and evil. He'll never put us into war willy-nilly, but he'll never shirk on defending our liberty. That's the most important job of a president, keep us alive and free.
When you guys were in the cell together, what was the conversation like?
I was Air Force, John was Navy, so I had to slow down a little bit, so John could pick up on all my, John is brighter than I am. He's a very bright guy. And we were good, we were good friends, and in prison you talk about every possible thing because you wait year after year after year to go home, and you've talked through everything from your family. Will I still have a family when I get home? How are the kids? We get home, if you thought you were a boss when you left, you better change your mind because those kids have been with their mom for 6 years, and she's a boss. And so, we were our own therapists before we came home. When we got out of the little cells, when you're solitary, and got into the big cells, we truly were our own therapist. We came home in better mental shape after 6 years. We would have in 3 because when you're solitary and you're being tortured periodically, and you wonder every day, is it my turn again? That's tough. And John wouldn't have been goofy. I might even be a little goofy. That's my technical term. But we were our own therapists. We came home in better shape after 6 than 3.
My name is Captain Jerry Coffey, retired naval officer. Presently a member of the Hawaii delegation. I've lived in Hawaii for about the last 35 years. I was there because the Navy sent me there for one of my last 2 assignments. I'm here at the National Republican Convention to help my friend John McCain, with whom I served time in communist prisons in North Vietnam, to become our nominee for the presidency of our country.
How long did you spend in the POW camp?
7 years and 9 days.
Did you arrive at the POW camp prior to John McCain arriving?
A year and a half before him. He was there for 5.5 years. I was there for 7. Let me say this. John McCain, because his father was a famous admiral at the time, he was in charge of all U.S. military forces in the Pacific area, including Vietnam. Because the Vietnamese thought it would be a huge propaganda coup to release him early. But this is a point when John was still very badly injured and not in good health, and we never really knew if we would ever come home. He refused to be released early because he knew that it would embarrass his father, who was still a 4-star admiral. It would undermine the morale of his fellow prisoners, and he would never be able to look at himself in the mirror each morning for the rest of his life.
42 years later, to stand in Minnesota at the RNC as a delegate for your state of Hawaii and see your fellow comrade take the stage coming tomorrow to accept the Republican National.
Marianne, it's surreal. It makes me think back about a time that John and I were in the same cell day together. We've been that way for about 10 months, face to face. And we were talking about our future and about our past and our families and so on, like we always did. and we just kind of got off on a tangent one time. And I said to John, remember when you were just a little kid and you'd have a fight with a kid next door, and then he'd come over to your house and you'd say, get off my lawn. And then you'd say, you're not the boss of me. And so that was it. And so to this day, when I talk to John on the telephone, I know for sure it's him on the telephone, I say, McCain, you're not the boss of me. Coffee USOB, get off my lawn. So that's the kind of friendship that we have. And to see your friend succeed through 46 years of service to our country, 22 years in the Navy and 24 years in our Congress, where he's devoted his entire life in the service of our country, where he is putting into practice those values which characterized his time as a prisoner of war. Values like patriotism, like commitment, like courage, pride, honor. These are the values that will inform his presidency when he's elected in November. You know, when George Bush was elected, we had no idea that 9/11 was coming on the horizon. So, because we never know what our leaders will have to deal with in the future, we need to elect them on our trust in them, on what you consider to be their gut feelings, how they're going to react to situations and problems that are still unknown. And John McCain is a guy that whatever he does, it'll be for the good of our country. It's in his genes. He's been raised that way. And I have total confidence in him to make the right decisions no matter what our country is faced with in the future.
I want to thank you very much, Jerry, for taking the time out to speak with me.
You're certainly welcome. It's my pleasure.